we must rejoice with you. Are you happy? We're asking if you are happy.
Yes.
Okay, we are going to form part of this meeting. The workers have made us aware that you are treating them like slaves.
Okay.
You don't pay them. You don't pay them the way you're supposed to be paid. No, I'm not talking to you. Hey, wait, Chief.
This is a
Hey,
meeting.
wait.
It's a meeting.
Yes, we're also representing the workers.
We are representing workers.
We're representing the workers. We're representing the workers.
Keep your mouth shut.
We're representing the workers. We're representing the workers. We're representing the workers.
We are busy.
I'm saying we're representing the workers. We don't care. Hey, we're not scared of you. We're not scared of you. We are not scared of you. I'm not scared of you.
You are bringing here.
Oh,
You see,
you don't pay people enough for a month.
Pay people enough. Simple as it is.
We're going to end that slavery. We're not afraid of you. Oh, what kind of people you are? You want to read in the Bible while you're behaving like a Satan. What kind of people are you? You pay them 1,900 a month. What is that? How much are you earning? Hey, we're not afraid of you, man. We're not afraid of you.
This?
And there's nothing that
Stop
you can
it.
do.
Now.
Nothing.
Put off your phone.
Hey.
You put off your phone.
Yeah, he's not.
He's not going to
He's
put
not
his
going
phone.
And then
to
you're
do
not going to threaten me.
You're not going to do anything.
Okay.
You think it's about the idea.
So there are some problems that they say that they never leave. You know, once you open the doors for some problems, they don't know how to reverse themselves. They'll always stay, you know.
What disturbs me more than the policy that you call a policy is the rationale for the policy. The rationale for the policy. You set out 4 principles that you adhere to, and then and I will go over them in a moment. Then you say on page 14, we must not become part of South Africa's problem. We must remain part of their solution. We must not aim to impose ourselves, our solutions, our favorites in South Africa. Damn it, we have favorites in South Africa. The favorites in South Africa are the people who are being repressed by that ugly white regime. We have favorites. Our loyalty is not to South Africa, it's to South Africans.
Just like a disease that is living in your body. Some diseases are there to go, some diseases can't go, they're just suppressed, but just stay within. The disease I'm speaking of is a metaphorical term for the problem of...
Okay, is there a sign seating?
Ma'am, you can ask the office about.
Okay, so I uploaded this video clip of an experience that me and my friends had while visiting Cape Town, and honestly, the responses in the comments blew me. A lot of people who were commenting seemed to not fully understand the situation, so I'm going to provide a little bit more context. For starters, I myself am a digital nomad, along with one of my friends that was in the video. We have been traveling for at least the past 2 years, and we no longer live in the US. Another one of my friends that you saw in the video, who is also American, she lives in Kenya, so she also doesn't live in the US. I'm saying that to go ahead and get all the xenophobia out of the way before we get into this. The tour that we were on was for a wine tram. And so the way that the tour works, they have a bus that picks you up in the center city of Cape Town. It drives an hour out to the wine tram in Stellenbosch. And then at the end of the day, another bus takes you back to the center city of Cape Town. That morning, we showed up for the tour at around 8:30, and the bus was scheduled to leave at 9. And we know this because it was written policy, but we also asked someone who worked there when we arrived. Seeing as we arrived 30 minutes early to get on the bus that would take us to the wine tram, we decided we'd grab some breakfast just before we got on the bus. We were at a restaurant that was right by the bus stop, and so the food was taking a little while, and one of my friends went out to stop the bus to make sure that it didn't leave us before it left, because it looked like our food was going to take like 1 or 2 minutes longer, and we were probably going to get out there a little after 9 o'clock.
Racism, colorism, classicism, these are all byproducts of colonialism. And Dr. Joy DeGruy tells us that whatever is the byproduct of colonialism, the racism, the colorism, all these is caused, or rather he calls them under the name post-traumatic slavery or colonialism syndrome. Yeah, it's no news how we Africans treat one another, particularly if there's a white person in front of us or there's a white person close by. Black people will always attack one another. Yeah.
She got out there at 8:55 or somewhere within that time frame and discovered that the bus had already left. So this means not only did the bus leave earlier than their departure time written in their policy, they also left us, the four of us who had purchased tickets and spoken with one of the organizers before. Obviously, we weren't very happy about this. We talked with the manager. The manager stood by the fact that they had done nothing wrong, but he also agreed to buy us an Uber because they had done something wrong. So that's why we weren't initially on the AM bus. But again, this bus has tickets. We've all purchased tickets. And not only that, it wasn't a full bus. The bus was never full of people in the morning or the afternoon. So we get to the wine tram, we tour the different vineyards, we have a great time. Everyone who was on that morning bus was on a wine tram, traveling through different vineyards around the city in Stellenbosch. So no one left their stuff on that bus. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a completely different bus that they came back to pick everyone up in the afternoon. So when it was time to go back in the afternoon, we ended up wrapping up about 45 minutes early. Though we had more time to kind of explore, we didn't have enough time to actually take the tram to another vineyard. So we decided to just head to the bus. Once we got to the bus driver that you see in the video was standing there. No one was on the bus. It was completely empty because, again, we're there 45 minutes early. So we greet him all friendly. We're wine drunk. It's a good day. We ask him like, hey, is this the bus going back? He's like, yeah, but there's still plenty of time. Why are you getting on the bus so early? He tells us that there is a little town, like a 10-minute walk up, and we should go explore. So we're like, okay, that sounds fine. We'll come back at the designated time for the bus to leave. One of my friends had bought wine as a souvenir, and she didn't want to carry that around. So we actually left it with the bus driver before we went to go explore the town. Keep in mind that the vibes from this man are completely different from what you saw in that video. He's talking it up with us, laughing, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Well, I'll be here at the time. Just make sure you're back on time for the bus. So after already having been left that morning, we made sure we were on time for the afternoon bus. Once we had gotten back, you could see some people had started coming from the wine tram, and so there were a few people on the bus, but again, the bus was never full. So there were plenty of seats, and everyone was just kind of filling in where they fit in. So we greet the bus driver, hey, thanks for holding our stuff, we're back, we're moving to board on the bus, and he says, oh, the policy is you have to sit at the back of the bus because you were late. Now that stopped me in my tracks, because who in this day and age tells anyone to sit at the back of the bus, especially when everyone has purchased the exact same ticket. There's no VIP on this bus. So I completely ignore what he says because I ain't never heard of no policy like that, and we begin to board the bus. I don't think any of the other girls heard him when he said this. We get on the bus, we go upstairs, we find some empty seats, we sit down, nothing's wrong. There's no one on the bus that's complaining that we took their seat. We didn't have to move any stuff out of anyone's way. There's nothing on the bus. Remember, everyone is just getting in where they fit in. The bus driver gets on the bus, walks up to us, and tells us that we have to get off of the bus. When we ask why, he continues to say it's because we were late. Now, I'm thoroughly confused because, again, I told y'all this morning we were there 30 minutes early, and then we came in the afternoon 45 minutes early. He's holding our stuff, and we made sure that we were there on time for the afternoon bus. There is no lateness here. So despite this policy changing from having to sit at the back of the bus to now having to offboard this bus with no rhyme or reason or any real rules around it, we get off the bus. Why? Because we respect authority. So the clip starts off with us after we have already gotten back off the bus. As we were getting off, I had another passenger ask me, why is he making you all get off the bus? To which I responded, I do not know. No one on the bus was bothered by where we sat except for that bus driver. And no one else on that bus was black except for us. That doesn't mean everyone on the bus was white, but there were no other black people on the bus besides us. So in the clip, you can see this is why we're asking, where is this policy? Where can we see it? We've never heard of this before. And me and my other friend, we took a similar tour bus just like this in Johannesburg, and we did not have these problems, and we definitely didn't hear any policy that said we had to get to the back of any bus. or off the bus so that all the other non-Black people can board. It was upsetting, to be honest. It was really upsetting. And when we got on the bus, again, like I said, there were plenty of seats. Nobody ever complained about where we sat or when we got on the bus besides that bus driver. What was even more upsetting was seeing the comments, the people who live here in South Africa, even people who look just like us, really defending this and blaming us. If there's one thing that only Black women understand, it's that their experience can never just be their experience. We're always the delusional ones. We're always the crazy ones. It's just in our heads. It's not about race. This situation was every bit about race, in addition to this man flexing for power that he clearly does not have otherwise. As frustrating as the situation was, it's just been a real eye-opener into the things that go on here and the work that needs to still be done here in South Africa. Apartheid ended, but the mentality behind colorism and just racism as a whole, and especially xenophobia, there's some work that needs to be done. This is also why I share my experiences on YouTube about where I've traveled to and what it's like as a Black woman, because our experiences are unique, and a lot of people will try to tell us that they don't really matter or they're not really happening. Context aside, it should have been clear. We bought bus tickets and we were not getting the same treatment as everyone else who bought the same bus ticket. The policy clearly did not exist if we're asking for it and he could not produce it. Had any other woman who did not look like us post that same exact video clip, I'm pretty sure the responses would have been different. And that's why it is about race. Until all humans can be treated equally regardless of how they look like, race is always going to be part of the conversation.
It happens many times. And apartheid in South Africa is a perfect example. You find that the white person, the colonialist, whom I refer to as the white person, would use fellow Black people to oppress and to pass on his repressive regime to make sure that it is, it is reinforced. He used Black people to reinforce laws against Black people. That's how much we hated ourselves, Blacks. We've seen this through, in many ways, Now, the apartheid regime was favoritism. It used to favor the white people, particularly the Dutch. Those people who call themselves the Afrikaners, not Africans, but the Afrikaners with the K and a double A. They are not Africans by no means possible. Yeah. So these people introduced apartheid, which is basically segregation based on skin color, and apartheid is a Dutch word which means apart, which means to keep aside, and hide, which means color, and hide in this context means skin color or the skin, So you separate by skin color, you separate by class and all this. Up to date, if I tell you that whatever Joy DeGruy always said, if you always watch my videos, Joy DeGruy talks about the problem of post-traumatic slave syndrome. He tells us that the person who is suffering most is the person who wants to favor his oppressors, to oppress his own, A Black sister who actually is a nomadic pastoral, is a digital nomad. Yeah, a digital nomad is someone who travels. Yeah, and they record videos, they do TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all these, Instagram, and they show you. So she went to South Africa and she got what she support. I can say that she confirmed the theory of Dr. Joy DeGruy, the theory of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Up to date, some Black people in South Africa are reinforcing those laws of apartheid. They are reinforcing that if there is a bus, only white people should get first and all white people should finish, is when Black people can come in modern day and times. And this person is not just any person. She's a sister from the United States of America. But if a Black person is walking, even where I am right now, I can't tell from which country. We don't see you for your color, we see you for who you are. And that's the beauty of living in Africa. The sister is clearly telling us that it's not xenophobia. But That is her own interpretation. From my own interpretation, the bus driver she's speaking of, this bus driver is a racist. This bus driver is a colorist. This bus driver is a classicist. Just imagine if we had the blackest, the richest black person wanting to board that bus. Would this guy behave the same way? No, he wouldn't remain the same way. He wouldn't behave the same way. He would create room for Aliko Dangote, who is the richest man in Africa. Or rather, if it was the richest black woman, she would allow her to get in. All this is just a byproduct of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Post-traumatic slave syndrome takes many shapes and forms. Post-traumatic slave syndrome is what was caused by the long years of slavery, the long years of colonialism. In as much as we say that the black Americans underwent slavery, which is true, 400 years plus of oppression, that is damn too much. You are being born, your mindset is just, you're born, your parents are born enslaved, you are born enslaved, your children are born enslaved. You see how much this is problematic, It ingrains into your mind. You only think as a way of serving that person you call your master. And your master is that white person who is calling himself better. He even goes ahead to bring the Bible to show that he is better than you, and he quotes some verses on the Bible which really the Bible does not support slavery. But this individual, they quote and they say, servants, obey your masters. It is written, black and white, this and that. It is okay if a white person does it for a black person. It is understandable, not okay. We can understand where they come from because we understand the white superiority complex. But a black person doing it to a black person, this is a post-traumatic colonial, or rather colonialism syndrome. If it was a black American doing that to black Americans, we would call it post-traumatic slave syndrome. It is a syndrome. And this guy is clearly having the symptoms. How can you just block someone like that because you want to favor white people? These people have the credentials. It's not like those white people boarded that bus, or rather they hired it, or it belongs to a white person. That's a public means of transport. And the last time I checked public is for everyone. And last time I checked South Africa is a country of black, white, Indians, coloreds. It's a rainbow country. We have all sorts of colors in that country. But the problem is where? It's like, why do we hate one another? I'm even surprised by this. We hate one another so much, just to impress someone else. By the end of the day, this person you are oppressing is the same person when you don't have salt in your food. You'll go and knock at their door on midnight and you ask them for salt. This same person you are oppressing is the same person that when you are sick, you'll ask them to take you to the hospital. That person you think you are impressing, they will be far away if you clearly need support. Black people don't know that, but I really don't blame them. It's a syndrome, and what can clearly take away this syndrome is psychological awareness, psychological training, mindset decolonizing, and this will clear away whatever we see happening. Because if it happened to a black American tourist, how much do you think it happens to the local South Africans? Just imagine the intensity those people are facing. Just imagine. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. If you have any thoughts, kindly share. We shall further these discussions in the comment section. And support me on Patreon. Be a member, please. Be a member. Give something on Patreon. I will surely appreciate, no matter how much you have. Become a monthly subscriber on my Patreon. It helps me bring you quality and educative content. Yeah, life is short. Let's make the best out of it. See you in the next one.